Okay, please join me in Gakusho again to read Wasan's hymns from the Shinran Shonin, hymns of the Pure and Master. Through the benefit of the unhindered light, we realize the Shinjin of verse, majestic virtue, and the ice of our blind passions necessarily melts, immediately become water of enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, 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 Namandab. Okay, again, thank you for coming to this special Gotan-e service this morning. So today, Gotan-e is our founder Shinran Shonin's birthday. Shinran Shonin's birthday. So do you know this year is, if he was alive, how many years old? How old is he? 700, 800, 800, 850, 900, 1,000. No?
849.
849, yes. So this year we are celebrating 849th Shinran Shonin's birthday. So the next year, you know, those who, I don't know how many people participated in the 2023 Japan tour meeting, but next year, 2023, you know, Seattle Betsin is organizing the Japan tour to participate in the BWA World Convention. At that time, at the Honganji, they are also celebrating Shinran Shonin's 850th birthday. So please remember that. Next year, they're celebrating a big birthday, happy birthday, Shinran Shonin next year, 850th. At the same time, next year is 800th anniversary of establishment of the Jodo Shinshu Honganji sect, our sect of Buddhism. So kind of special year next year. So World Convention, BWA World Convention, the 850th happy birthday Shinran Shonin, and 800th anniversary of the establishment of the Jodo Shinshu Honganji. I'm going to ask you again next week, so please remember that. So please, these three, okay? So next year, 2023, is the World Convention, BWA World Convention is going to be held in Kyoto, Japan. So this is every 4 years, World Convention is held. So last time, do you remember? Just before the pandemic, we, you know, the BCA, Buddhist Churches of America, hosted the World Convention in San Francisco. Then Gomonshu-sama, right after the convention, BWA World Convention, Gomonshu-sama came to visit the Seattle Betsin Buddhist Temple. It seems like long time ago, but it is only 3 years ago. So then, before that, 2015, I don't know how many people attended the World Convention in Calgary, Canada. Is there anyone who went to Calgary convention? Okay, yeah, there are some, yeah. Actually, that was my first time I attended BWA World Convention. So I went to Calgary, then before the convention, Sugahara Sensei's family and we went to kind of sightseeing. It was our first time to go to Calgary, so we went to Banff, then to see the Rocky Mountain, the Columbia Glacier. It was so beautiful, so we had a lots of fun time. Then we also really enjoyed to taking hot springs. There is a hot spring in Banff. Then, so it was outside. Then it was so nice to take a hot spring and see the great nature. All different kind of people took hot springs together. Probably, you know, there's so many different people like Americans and Canadians, Japanese, and maybe I could hear the French too. So all different people are taking the hot springs together. So there are men and women, old people, young people, children. There are also many children enjoying the hot springs. So some people may be working for the government. Some people may be chef, or some people may be the school teacher, or maybe farmer. All different people are taking the hot springs. I'm sure there are at least two Buddhist ministers are also taking hot springs. Then everybody was, relaxed, then smiling and calm and peaceful. So nobody was complaining or fighting each other, of course. So of course, in our daily life, everybody has some kind of anger, anxiety, tiredness, and difficulties, distress. So of course, I have these too. So I could forget about these things for a while. It was if my distress, tiredness, and worry melted into the hot spring. So our founder, Shinran Shonin, compared our human desire and attachment to ice. And also, he compared enlightenment, Amida Buddha's virtue, to water. So Shinran Shonin expressed his appreciation of Amida Buddha's wisdom and compassion using this example in the Wasans. Through the benefit of true unhindered light, we realize the Shinjin of vast, majestic virtue, and the ice of our blind passions necessarily melt, immediately becoming the water of enlightenment. So this is the Shinran Shonin's Wasans. So Amida Buddha's light of wisdom melts the ice of my blind passions, greed, anger, ignorance, and they become the water of enlightenment. If I throw ice into the hot springs, the ice immediately melt and become a water. The ice becomes part of the water, hot water. It becomes one with the water. It makes no difference the ice is big or small, round shape or cube shaped. All ice melts into the water and become one with the water. Amida Buddha accepts all different people and living beings. Amida Buddha is ready to welcome all of us to the realm of oneness, Pure Land. So we all jump into the Amida Buddha's kind of hot spring, Amida Buddha's ocean of wisdom and becoming a one with Amida Buddha. So in the Calgary's World Conventions, if some of you if you still remember, the keynote speaker was Reverend Nana Yanase. Reverend Nana Yanase. She was about 40 years old at the time. Then the resident minister of her family temple. Then she's also professional singer-songwriter. So she has two jobs, as a Buddhist minister and singer-songwriter. So when she was in her early 20s, she applied for many auditions and sent her recorded music CD to the music companies. But, that's not so easy, right? So no company accepted her. After a while, just one company eventually accepted her, and her music CD was on sale. But her music CD found no buyers, unfortunately. After a while, the record company went bankrupt. So she was about 30 years old at the time. So she was very, very disappointed. Almost the same time, she had to go to the hospital because she discharged blood from the balls. So she was diagnosed as having a cancer of the uterus. So she has to have the operation, hysterectomy. I cannot pronounce this, but she has to have operations. So she was at the age of 30. She was still single. So she was depressed because she could no longer have a baby. So it became more difficult to find a man to marry. It was very hard for her to accept this reality. During that time, about 30 years old, so lots of her friends delivered their babies. So when she saw her friends and their babies, she wanted to celebrate with them from the bottom of her heart, but she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. She felt jealous, envious of their happiness and successful life. She was also really disappointed with how she felt about her friends and their babies. So she asked herself, why she has to be unhappy? Why she has to be alone? What's wrong has she done? She was always bitter about her situation. One day, she was invited to her friend's temple as a guest speaker. She hesitated, but spoke about her bitter experience. After the service, one old woman came to her. The old woman gently patted her back and said, I understand you. I understand you. I understand your bitterness because I also had the same illness. You are not alone. Please do not feel lonely. This old woman's warm words comfort Reverend Nana Yanase. In her keynote speech, she said, suffering is the seed of compassion. Suffering is the seed of compassion. Because the old woman experienced the same illness and bitterness, she could understand Reverend Yanase's suffering and give her a kind word. If I were to give the same word to Reverend Yanase, she wouldn't be consoled. Because old woman truly understood her suffering. Her word touched Reverend Yanase deeply. I don't think, I cannot understand how a person who has a cancer suffers. I cannot understand how difficult it is to survive in the war. I cannot understand what worries the victims of earthquake has. I have never experienced these situations. I don't think I will experience all situations which all other people have experienced. So that is why it is important. I have to listen. I have to listen to other people's voice carefully. The teaching says our Buddha, Amida Buddha accepts all living beings because Amida Buddha attained great wisdom and compassion. Then Reverend Yana said, suffering is the seed of the compassion. How did the Buddha obtain the great compassion? How did the Buddha obtain the seed of the compassion, which is, says, suffering? Before Buddha became Buddha, reincarnated over and over again. The Jataka tells, you may know Jataka tells. Jataka tells us about stories about Buddha's lives before Buddha became Buddha, before Buddha attained enlightenment. Buddha was born as king, lion, a son of poor farmer, a rabbit, bird, and more. Buddha experienced all sorts of different lives. These are the practices to become Buddha and attain great wisdom and compassion. Buddha must have experienced all different living beings' sufferings, bitterness, worries, anxieties, and difficulties through his or her reincarnation. Amida Buddha accepts all living beings as they are. Amida Buddha's great compassion must have originated from all living beings' suffering, included my suffering, my difficulties. One famous Japanese poet, Kaneko Misuzu, said in her poem, "When I am feeling sad, strangers don't know. When I am feeling sad, my friends all laugh. When I am feeling sad, my mother spoils me. When I am feeling sad, Buddha feels sad." Amida's light of wisdom melt the ice of sufferings, worries, and anxieties and difficulties, and they become water of enlightenment. Amida Buddha and I become just like one. Amida Buddha is a Buddha to sincerely understand our suffering, our anxieties. Buddha Dharma, Nembu's teaching, is a guidance to lead us to the realm of oneness, realm of the Pure Land. Namo Amida Butsu is a word to comfort and embraces us. So suffering is a seed of compassion. Buddha's compassionate heart take our hurts, take our sufferings. When we are lonely, Amida Buddha is with us. When we cry, Amida Buddha cries with us. When we feel pain, Amida Buddha nestles close to us. My sadness melts into Amida Buddha's great compassion and become one with Amida Buddha. So today, I wanted to introduce Shinran Shonin's wasans today, which struck me that this is one of my favorite wasans. So to conclude my Dharma message, please join me in Gassho. Through the benefit of the unhindered light, we realize Shinjin of birth, majestic virtue, and the eyes of our blind passions necessarily melt, immediately becoming the water of enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu.